Dot, 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 dot. Good morning, everybody. This is Grant from State of the Spark, and I am super pumped you're here today. It's Friday, so you know what that means. Yes, we're going to be covering lessons on Spark Citizens. Yes, we're going to be covering a little bit of other news. We're going to be covering news that's important in the cryptoverse because it's Friday, and we're going to do a market recap on Friday. Yes, personal development is for you lovely people on Mondays and through the rest of the week. But on Fridays, I unabashedly talk about what's going on in crypto because we're talking about what's going on with financial freedom. Your financial freedom is important. You actually moving forward in your finances is huge. And right now, one of the biggest ways to talk about financial freedom is, of course, in the crypto space. So we're going to be talking about that today. But before any of that, we're going to touch on what's going on with the consumer price index, the CPI today, how those numbers might affect the market. And of course, we're going to be talking about morning cup of gratitude. So before we actually talk about CPI, that's yes, the consumer price index. No, not the nonprofit we founded in Haiti. We're talking about the consumer price index and how it's affecting crypto. And then we're going to talk about how the three types of investors respond. There are three types of investors and how they respond today. Good morning, Trevor. Thanks for stopping by, man. I love this guy. He keeps popping in. He's got great comments. He adds value. So, hey, good morning, man. Thanks for stopping by. So we're going to be covering the consumer price index a little bit this morning. I'm going to be touching on that, and I want to hear from you in the comments. What do you think will happen to the consumer price index? But again, before any of that, we're starting with a morning cup of gratitude. So whether you're Trevor King hanging out with me right now, or whether you're the 6, 8, 4, 9 people showing up right now, I want to hear what you're grateful for, because screw crypto and the consumer price index if you're not grateful for things. So tell me what you're grateful for this morning. So I'll tell you what I'm grateful for this morning. I'm grateful for my multiple streams of income. I'm grateful for my team. We've got an awesome group of people on our website company. That's where we spend a lot of our time. But I'm also grateful for our real estate investments here and in Coco. I'm also super grateful that I'm going to be taking a Costa Rica trip soon. That'll be super fun. I'm super grateful for my friends who turned into investors with the LLC going on in the Discord. Super grateful for that, though. Coinbase has been a little wonky. But what are you grateful for? And Trevor jumps in. I appreciate you, man. I really do, dude. Grateful for the journey. Let me tell you something about the journey real quick. Guys, for those who don't know my story, I was on the street. There was a short period of time that we got lost in the system, and I had to take care of my little brother on the street. And I came from that, and then family came around. We were raised in most of our teen years with my father, who was fantastic and a great example. Super influenced by my mother, who encouraged me to be creative and to follow my dreams. And so we had tough times, and everyone's had those tough times. But it's not about the fact that we've achieved a certain degree of location freedom, a certain degree of time freedom, a certain degree of financial freedom. No, we're not there yet. We're not kabillionaires yet. I'm not buying you all Lambos and yachts yet. But we're on that journey, and part of that journey has caused us to travel around the world a semester at sea. It's caused us to live in the Dominican Republic for a year. It's caused us to build businesses. But the more valuable stuff, it's caused us to meet amazing people and change who we were and take agency in the world. So I'm also grateful for the journey. Let's talk about the consumer price index, folks. Boom. So real quick, what do you think will happen with the markets, with the crypto markets on the consumer price index today? For those who don't know, this comes out, and for many people, it's a big deal, right? Consumer price index comes out, and for those who don't know, the consumer price index is a set of data that comes out monthly, right? And I'm pretty sure it's monthly. Someone correct me if I'm wrong there. I'm pretty sure it's monthly, and you'll find out why I don't know in just a second. The consumer price index is basically what we, as people, at least in America, are paying for goods. And did the price of those goods go up or down? Basically, is this cash experiment where we're injecting gobs and gobs of cash. How is it affecting us at the grocery store? How's it affecting us at the gas station? How's it affecting our pocketbooks based on what we normally consume? Now, I wanted to do like Max Mayer here and go pull up all the consumer price index and compare as he did, I don't know, back in the middle of the year. He compared the price of bacon before and after, which is super fun. Everyone loves bacon. But it's a good chance that the consumer price index, the cost of things, it's a really good chance that the price went high. Boom. Here we go. Measures average household basket of goods, 100%. Now, if you actually look at the consumer price index, Trevor, you can actually see at least every month up until last month. And then, of course, we'll get today's today. But they have a very detailed report. Like you could actually not only do the basket of goods, but you could get down to like the cost of broccoli, the cost of bacon, the cost of milk. You can get right down to it. And if like, let's say you be loving some milk, give him some milk. Let's say you love milk and you're just very aware, or a lot of people that pay attention to gasoline. Okay, well, maybe you pay attention to diesel and that's supply chain to you. Some people are into the supply chain and think, nope, the price of diesel is going to affect supply chain is going to connect, blah, blah, blah. And so whatever it is you pay attention to, the consumer price index is actually quite detailed. And so they have tons of data points, and those data points allow them to say, no, reasonably, inflation is X. This is what caused everyone to panic last month. Yeah, man, it definitely gets that specific. It's insane, actually. It's insane, actually. But the effect is simply this. When people see how prices have gone up or down, they're going to then assume. And whether they're the FUD crowd, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, which, believe it or not, you might be surprised to learn, is most people. No matter how firm people assert that they are, their actions will tell based on how they sell. Hear that. The actions will tell based on how they sell, on whether or not they have fear, uncertainty, or doubt around the consumer price index, which is a lot of people. We cannot deny that it dramatically affects the markets. Now, and another piece of other news about this, the Federal Reserve is actually meeting Tuesday, as they do, to determine whether or not interest rates will go up or down. Now, people have rightly connected the fact that what happens with the consumer price index significantly affects what the Federal Reserve is going to do next Tuesday. So again, if you're popping into the show, we've got our rising numbers of visitors. If you're popping into the show, we want to know in the comments, do you think the consumer price index is going to tell us inflation is higher or lower? I absolutely believe, personally, not financial advice, but my 2 cents, one crypto bro to another, my 2 cents is that, of course, inflation is going to go up. That's the math. Trevor jumps in and asks, what are a few of the most impactful books you've read? Okay, man, this is a killer. Like, I guess some people are seeing this. And if I could actually turn my camera around, you'd see that I own more books than anything. Some of the most influential books, my man. Boom. Think and Grow Rich. Think and Grow Rich is one of the absolute most impactful books. I read it every year. I read it on repeat. And then, boom. The Analects by Confucius. I was raised in a non-denominational Pentecostal Christian conservative environment, but I am kind of in a whole other vein. If you can't tell, Pathways to Bliss is another book I'm reading by Joseph Campbell. This is why I have this tattoo right here. I really encourage you to check out Pathways to Bliss. And lastly, my samurai material, the Hagakure, is the current samurai material I'm going through. I believe it synthesizes Buddhism in a practical way. So again, I am loving talking about books. If you guys ever want to jump in the Discord, if you want to talk more about that, we're going to return to talking about consumer price index and inflation real quick. But if you want to talk more about this sort of stuff, folks, jump in the Discord, because I'd be loving talking about personal development. In fact, my entire brand is about personal development, and we're only talking about crypto because I believe you and I need financial freedom if we're going to live in mental freedom and spiritual freedom. Right? It's a practical reality. So we're talking about crypto because it frees us to do that, at least for now. It's having its moment. Now, let's jump into crypto here. Let's jump into inflation. BR says the annual inflation rate in the United States likely accelerated to 6.8. You're not the first person to actually give me this exact number, BR. In November of 2021, the highest rate since June 1982, from 6.2%. In October. We're climbing. And in fact, this number's so specific. Are you Aussie? BR. Are you Aussie in our group, bud? So we have a Discord group in Aussie, gave me this exact number, which got me actually to do the show today, because I generally, and I'll talk about this in a second, Spark citizens know, but rarely care about CPI. We're going to talk about that in a second. What's a Spark Citizen? We'll talk about that in a second. So today's big news. CPI is coming out. People are freaking out because it's literally the all-time high in the last 40 40 years, and they're looking at and estimating about 6.8% for the year. Now, are all the economists stupid and didn't know this was going to happen? No. When they went into the cash economic plan that they're doing, where they're just injecting trillions of cash into the pandemic relief or whatever that was supposed to be, into the SBA loans and small business relief or whatever that was supposed to be, are they fooled? Are they caught off guard by this? No. So why are you? Why are you caught off guard by this? Why are you surprised? This is just the mechanics of market economies. Now, you might be young, you might not have studied economics. Believe it or not, I actually excelled at economics in grade school and in college because I could get my concept around the anthropological sciences. It's a social science. I'm not into the math, I'm not into technical analysis, but I get how money works. My wife always makes fun of me. I can't do math. She'll go like, hey, what's this and this? And I'm like, I don't even know. But she'll say, hey, if I were to buy this for the business or transact that, or if we were to do this deal, I can do the math. I call it street math. I know street math pretty well. I know business math. And when we look at it, and when you inject this much capital, it's inevitable that we're going to see all-time high inflation. So if you're caught off guard, why? Trade accordingly. And we're going to talk about the three types of traders real quick, and the three types of investors, and which type I am, and which type most of the Spark citizens I'm hoping to influence are. So let's jump down. BR just called it out and kind of pulled the cat out of the bag. I was just going to mention that some people are saying it's going to be higher. Now, here's the if this. This is not financial advice, but here's what some people like Aussie in the Discord have been saying, and others that we follow. If the CPI numbers come back this high, boop, then the sentiment seems to be that the Fed's response on Tuesday is going to be that interest rates are going to rise, and this will cause a down market. Some people will want to bail out of their positions before the Federal Reserve interest rates hike on Tuesday, cause an even deeper dip, both in the crypto markets and the real markets, right? Some people will want to get out now just because they're uncertain, fear, uncertainty, and doubt on what will happen when the Federal Reserve increases interest rates next Tuesday, as some believe. So there's a strong case that the Federal Reserve increasing interest rates will cause people to bail out of their positions, right? And that makes sense. That makes some logical sense. Now, if the numbers come back low, some people are simply saying, if the numbers come back low, the market sentiment is soft and weak, and consumer price index went down a little bit, but people are going to be ready to start taking profits because you might see a bump in the market, but then whales are going to clear the deck because they're freaked out because they don't know what's going to happen with the Federal Reserve on Tuesday. So this is kind of the dynamic tension. And ultimately what that means is everyone's stuck being afraid and they think they're going to lose money in the next few days, few weeks, no matter what. And guess what? The crypto market doesn't have a cool down period. The stock market gets these numbers on a Friday and the markets close. And when the markets close, stocks and index funds, man, these things, they get a cool down period. Everyone can chill out. The banking's kind of shut down, but the crypto market never stops. And maybe it should. If you're paying attention to the congressional hearings at all, there is some reasonable requests, even from crypto, those deep in crypto who are leading some of these companies. There was some reasonable requests from them to be regulated in certain ways. They've asked for one asked for a banking charter. And they said, listen, regulate me. Give me a banking charter. But it looks like you're not going to give me a banking charter, yet still slap my hands. Very interesting. Go back and watch the congressional hearings. And my man, Daryl Ash, jumping in. Whoa, look at this. Amazon, Changing World Order, Nations Succeed. Daryl, what is this book? I got to check out this book. And my man says, Daryl Ash says, game changer. Now, for those who don't know Daryl Ash is an acquaintance of mine in my town. I dare say a friend, though we haven't hung out nearly enough, but I have a huge respect from across the room of this guy because he is a game changer. He's not calling himself. He's saying the book he just suggested. He says this book right there. He said, you got to check this out. And then he says, thank me later. So anyways, what are the three types of traders and how are they going to respond to the CPI index? How do they respond to the CPI numbers any given month? How do they respond to the Federal Reserve any given month? Let's actually cover the three types of traders that I identify and how Spark citizens respond. Let's talk about it. I am not a trader. I don't believe in trading personally. I don't like the paradigm. of trading, and obviously I don't like the tax implications of short-term trading. You either have to be a crypto boy and you got to hit all of the deals so early on. You got to move so fast. You got to be stuck to your screen. Hold on, taking a pause. Yes, I took a pause here for BR. BR says the Fed expects inflation to increase by 3.7% this year as the economy recovers and then drop to 2.2 in 2022. Hey, listen, what I love about BR, and BR, I'm totally going to subscribe to your channel. I love hearing some of these details. What I like about this is the longer term time perspective. And this is my point about the first type of trader I was just going to bring up, a FUD trader. Now, most traders, believe it or not, are operating on FUD. Most traders, not all. There are many skilled technical traders. There are many skilled insider traders. These are people who have inside knowledge of inside projects and they're ready to rock. But most traders that I have ever met are literally going on gut and FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And so if I were, again, not trading advice, not financial advice, this is what I would do if I were a FUD trader. And I don't want to dig on FUD traders. There are FUD traders making tons of money right now. No doubt. No doubt. But as one guy said in a crypto channel, if you guys hear the quote, you'll know who I'm talking about. He said, I like them dirty gains. That's his phrase. I like those dirty gains. These are traders who are looking to get into a project quick, get that 100, 200% return, and bail out. And in all honesty, reasonability says that I'm looking at my portfolio over here, I see one at Sandbox. I'm up 500% on Sandbox. I'm up 160% on Decentraland. I should take profits. I'm up still. I have already taken profits out of Shiba Inu, and I'm still up another 182%. I should just take profits. A reasonable trader would do that. A FUD trader would be a bit concerned about today's CPI index. A FUD trader would sell a percentage of positions to cash or stable coins pegged for the short term. Now, the challenge with going to cash is this. If the inflation rates are high, any stable coin is losing purchasing power, right? It's subject to inflation just like the US dollar is. Well, not just like, because you can do some staking. You can do some DeFi with it. You can earn passive staking if you're in Coinbase, like the most rudimentary thing, but you're barely making inflation. In fact, we'll find out today, if inflation comes in at its all-time highest, as BR points out, at 6.8%, you could put your money in Tezos and passive stake it in Coinbase. While if I were a FUD trader, I might do this. Move it to like Daicoin or Tezos and pull 4% or so, or go stake it on KuCoin in some of the crypto lending and just let it sit there while it's coasting and do some passive staking on the short term. This isn't good for a long-term strategy, especially if you're a trader, you're into more short-term trades, but you don't want to lose too much time to purchasing power and inflation, so you don't want to stay in those stable coins or cash coins too long. So you're going to want to maybe do it between now and maybe when the Federal Reserve rates do their thing next week. But in the short term, it could be a smart move if I were a FUD trader. Now, I would have to be absolutely mentally prepared for taxes. Listen, some of you people think you're going to get around. Some of you Americans, I'll talk to the Americans for a moment. Some of you Americans think you're going to get away year after year of keeping money into KuCoin, Gate.io. You know, these offshore companies that aren't reporting to the IRS. And when the IRS asks you on your IRS return, did you make any cryptocurrency trades? You're going to be having a quake and pen. Boy, if they audit me. Oh, man, I am a confession from Grant. This isn't a Spark thing. This is just Grant. I am more afraid of the IRS than I am of just about anybody. I am more afraid of the IRS than anybody. So if I were a FUD trader, I would be mentally prepared to pay crazy short-term taxes in America that can be up to 37% for short-term capital gains. I don't know anything about other countries. You need to assume if you hold any money, not even trades, if you've just seen gains, well, trades more than anything when you do your reporting, but any US-based service, Coinbase, Voyager, Celsius, if they didn't lose your money last week when they migrated, when they migrated the money with MetaMask and took $119 million butthurt burn for using MetaMask inappropriately. I'm doing a video. Watch for my video on MetaMask security because we've got to deal with that. But Voyager, Coinbase, Celsius, Binance US, Any of these organizations, now Binance US is an outlier. I'll talk about that in a second, but you just need to assume all US-based cryptocurrency exchanges will. Last year it was questionable. This year they'll absolutely submit your 1099. So what about KuCoins, Binance Malta, Binance Global, Gate.io, or whatever other exchange you use to try to get around US taxes? What about them? Well, they don't report to the IRS. Good on you. However, they do, if you read the fine print, reserve the right to report to any government authority, which can include tax authorities, the fine print of KuCoin, the fine print of Binance Global, the fine print of Gate.io. They reserve that right. So if you have, I don't know, an FBI's most wanted list alert, they can actually go to that specific exchange and look for you. Now, as we found out, cryptocurrency, as we found out this year, cryptocurrency isn't nearly as anonymous as you'd like it to believe it is. And I had an interesting conversation with both an ex-FBI agent and a cybersecurity worker, and both confirmed we do have the technology to use a bit of social engineering and a bit of AI to actually find identity along most cryptocurrency tokens, along most blockchains. But if you reveal your hand too soon on your ability to do that, you give hackers the ability to then work against that, and then the hack game goes. You also move too quickly, and really bad actors using the blockchain, which isn't percentage-wise many of us, they'll actually be able to see what's going on. The cat will be out of the bag, so they have the ability, but they're reserving that right for serious infractions. But here's my point. It's only a matter of time before that technology makes it into the hand of the God's country IRS. So purport yourself or carry yourself accordingly. If I were a FUD trader watching the CPI index, I would be mentally prepared for a lot of things, but also, just as an aside, be mentally prepared for taxes. Now, that's one type of trader. The other type of trader is an investor, and I'm more of an investor. I prefer to think of myself as an investor. I would have already been purchasing only projects that matter. And I would love when the CPI index comes out and reports bad news, and even when the Federal Reserve acts and does bad news, because I would have a longer term time perspective. Boom. In fact, if anything, it's a longer term time perspective. Like BR says, the Fed expects inflation to increase by 3.7% this year as the economy recovers and then drop. This is a more medium term to longer term time perspective. And as an investor, you are thinking beyond 12 months. As an investor, you're typically thinking about long term capital gains. And you'd much rather, you want these dips and you're prepared for these dips. Garlic TV showing me the love. We need to get more people here. Garlic TV, go invite some people over, son. That's what I'm talking about. Trevor. Trevor, I'm going to actually pin your post. I dig that. Trevor, I know he's dropping some gems. So as an investor, I would have been purchasing already only projects that I believe have a timeline of more than a year. I would have only been purchasing projects that I believe are going to be around. So if the consumer price index dings Decentraland's a one that I'm huge on right now. Decentraland, I was up maybe 300%. Now I'm up only, let me look, I'm up only 160% on Decentraland right now, right? Well, I hope that gets dinged just a bit. Sanchez says, I realize we're just 8 watching. Well, Santiago, I'm actually getting numbers in my restream from like Facebook and Twitter and a bunch of places. So it's like 11, 15, 8, 7, 16. So I'm seeing the numbers. I'm seeing the numbers a little different, Santiago. So I appreciate you. BR jumps in and says this: fear and greed index is at a 24 right now, which means that investors have extreme fear in the market. And I would be interested, BR, if this is investors or traders. Now, I know that this group gets bundled together, people with money in the market. But my point in today's show of distinguishing the difference between a FUD trader, and an investor is long-term versus short-term focus. So short-term people are looking for deals, they're looking to buy, they're looking for them spikes, they're looking to catch that parabola like just in time. But an investor has already purchased projects, and their portfolio is mostly full of projects that they believe in. Like if I could bring up my other screen here in a second, I could actually show you. You guys are going to cringe. So you guys watching, just give me some grace. I still believe in Cardano. So I'm holding Cardano. I still am holding on to DAO Maker. I'm still holding on to Decentraland, Sandbox, Tezos, Chainlink. These are projects that are boring. But I had a millionaire real estate mentor back in 2004. I worked for this millionaire real estate developer. And he told me this. He said, "Oh, Grant, real money, leveraged money is boring." And so, yes, I made a skyrocket with SHIB. I made a skyrocket with some meme coins. And I talk a lot about ohms and DAOs in the Discord. I'm invested in Jade and Wonderland, and I'm fooling with Smarter Coin and all this foolish stuff right now. I talk about it 80% of the time, but it only makes up less than 20% of my portfolio. My portfolio is boring. So I fall in the category of investor. So what does that mean for the consumer price index? What that means, Jessica, Jessica, I still hold Cardano too. Diamond hands on Cardano. Peter Lynch says the same thing. Trevor King jumps in here, and I really appreciate your spirit here, buddy. Peter Lynch says the same thing. The best investments are absolutely boring, and they're nuanced. I was just looking up. Coinbase has a whole section on Coinbase where you can own a node in Coinbase. Me and some of the Discord people are like, man, should we go in on some nodes together? So we voted on either a ring node or a strong node, and we're kind of looking at Samurai node right now. And we're trying to decide, should we go into a node together? It's so boring and it's technical and it's nuanced. I don't mean tokens. I mean the node itself. And it's like, it's infrastructure, and infrastructure is boring. Chainlink is like an infrastructure token, and it's like boring and it's technical. But dude, I think that for me, I am invested heavily in Chainlink. I'm even down. I'm looking right now. I'm down percent actually today. My watch list when patron members, the watch list, and I'm looking right now. I didn't notice. I just got dinged on my watch list for I need to buy back in to lower my dollar cost average. This is the brain of an investor. You should only be holding things that when the market takes a dump, you throw a little party. Woo! Why? I'm lowering my dollar cost average, son. That's what I'm doing. So that's the investor mind. We got the FUD trader who's like, hey, man, are you in the latest ohm? Hey, man, did you see Rocka Flocky coin? I mean, we had the SHIB Flocky coin. We had the, what is it? The Elon Marsh coin. And I'm telling you, you can make money doing that. And I have fun with that. You need to have fun with that. I have fun with that. But it makes up less than 20% of my portfolio. I talk about it a lot because it's fun and everything else is boring. But I do consider myself an investor. So when the CPI numbers come out, what do you look for? You look for it to tank. And this is the other thing that an investor has. The first thing is that CPI, long-term investors, investor-minded people, they're in projects they already like. So that when things tank, they buy in more. The other thing is this. Investors always have a reserve of cash somehow. When they hit their dollar cost average point, oh man, don't go out on Cat Girl. Hey, confession, I went in. I didn't go all in, but I went in on Cat Girl. Can I be real? Like, can we be real? I consider myself a level-headed person, right? Like, and I could show you. I mean, I could show you my other screen, folks. And maybe in another video we will. I'm holding on to like, not a moon bag. I'm holding on to like an investor bag, right? But I have like a secret moon bag and I had Cat Girl in it. I got rid of it. I'm not Diamond Hands. I'm Mr. Paper Hands on this stuff. But that makes me laugh, man. That's hilarious. So investors, number one, they have projects they already believe in. And number two, they only would have invested portions of the proceeds as they've hit bottom markers. It's very rare that they have the rest of their cash pile invested in. Right now, I mean, I keep having, for example, if I had, just as an example, if I had $1,000 and that was reserved for when, let's say, Decentraland hit, I mean, I was up 300%. It hit 344 right now. Let's say I'm watching for 315. This is not advice. I'm just hypothetical. If I'm watching for $3.15 on Decentraland and I've got $1,000, I would not go in with $1,000. I'd go in with 500 and then I'd watch it. And if it's ready to go in at $3, I've got $500 left. I'm not going to put in another $500. I'm going to put in $250. And then if it tanks again, I'm going to put $125. Like, now that's not doubling down. It probably should be the opposite, right? I should put $250 down and then $500 so that you're doubling down, especially if it was a blue chip. Like, let's just call it Ethereum. If I had $1,000 on Ethereum, doubling down would actually look like Ethereum goes from 4,100 to 3,900. I could put 250 in if I out of my 1,000, and then it drops to like 3,250. Like, oh my God, could it do that? Then I drop another 500 down. That's called doubling down. So you need to be more strategic, and investors think that way with their cash. So they nearly always have some cash around for when it goes down because of the first item. They're already only holding projects they're passionate about. Now, let me just wrap up with this. What would a Spark citizen do? What is a Spark citizen? Spark citizens are anyone that follows. Oh, here we go. Oh my gosh, this is fantastic. I still have my quant from when it was 31 USD. Get it? That's huge. Man, and like I've been thinking quant's just out of my market range right now, but I probably need to relook at this, right? Because I like things that have a lower price point in general, like catching it, but I still like letting it run for the long term. But I've seen quant, I've looked at quant. So thank you for this. I'll check this out. So what's a Spark citizen? Spark citizens are people, we've been working on the Spark Nation for, since 2009. And now crypto and Discord and a lot of these technologies are making them more cohesive. And now with crypto projects, we can get even more cohesive because we can bring in the treasury component. Spark citizens believe in igniting lives of explosive significance. Everything we do is about making an impact in the world, sparking vision, igniting success, exploding significance, and radiating purpose. This is what a Spark citizen is. Now, a lot of us right now are looking at crypto. But when crypto dies, let's say that crypto is having its like the internet moment of 1998. Crypto is having a moment right now, more like we had the internet moment of 98. We had Yahoo, we had Netscape, we had AOL. Well, a lot of people made billions of dollars and then they lost everything because they held on Diamond Hands Netflix, or I'm sorry, Netscape, Diamond Hands Netscape. Well, anyone who was Diamond Hands Netscape might have been up $1 billion, but they lost everything. And if you were Diamond Hands Yahoo, you probably lost everything too, and then it only slowly came back over time. So what does a Spark citizen do when it comes to crypto? Spark citizens are in it to ignite lives of explosive significance. We might be all about crypto because it's interesting and fun, and really it presents an opportunity for another multiple streams of income. It presents an opportunity for financial freedom, time freedom, and location freedom. These are the three freedoms that Spark citizens believe in: time freedom, location freedom, and financial freedom. And those are the foundation of spiritual freedom, right? So Spark citizens are trying to build this world, and we're trying to live out a certain way that we live. So a Spark citizen would act like an investor. They would invest in projects right now that they believe are going to be around for the long term, that will endure the inevitable bubble pop. Listen, I'm Mr. Diamond Hands when it comes to my projects because I believe the projects I'm purchasing will endure. They might tank, but they will endure through the bubble pop. Now, 20% of my portfolio is for meme coins, shit coins, and ohms, and I'm just throwing money and letting it stack and throwing money and letting it stack, and then I realign my portfolio, and then I throw money and let it stack, and when I realign my portfolio, when I readjust my portfolio, that's going into the stuff I am Diamond Hands that will endure. Because Yahoo made it through the bubble pop of the late 90s. I was there. That was when I opened my website company. And we were there for Web 1.0 and Web 2.0. And technically, we call Web 3. That means something different than the Internet 3.0, which actually happened back in 2008. So in 1998, 99, we watched this Internet bubble craze go. And this is the moment I believe crypto is having right now. Now, crypto had a moment in 2000, like from 13 to 17, and then it took a dump, right? I think that people like to compare that season to Internet 1.0 in the late 90s, but people aren't behaving the same way. And personally, I think that it's more like that. You're going to see this bubble pop. So there's going to be only a small handful of the players on the landscape that will survive all the roll-ups, all the consolidations that will occur. And then you'll have some tried and trues, which will become what we know as blue chips, crypto, in roughly, I think, 2003, 2004. And then beyond, and then you'll see new entrants, and then the market will stabilize, and then we won't see as much parabolas. We won't see as much of this. All the parabolic movement you're seeing right now, this is once in a lifetime, and this is why Spark citizens are talking about it right now. But eventually we'll be talking about real estate. Jump over into the Discord. I've got 4 properties or 4 rentals. That's what we're dealing with. I've got 3 companies that me and my wife are doing, and she's launching another with hiking. Like, we have multiple streams of income, and this is my point. How would a Spark citizen respond to the CPI index today or any day? Let's talk about that. Number one, in crypto, A Spark Citizen acts like an investor, as I've already described. Roll back to the replay. But on 80% of the conservative portfolio, I have already only invested in projects I believe in. I still have a reserve of cash. It's not much because we've been hitting these down points, right? But there is still some cash to buy into. I want to locate where my stable coins are so that I can move quickly. So like right now, I've got some stable coins in crypto lending in KuCoin. I just remembered earlier this morning, I got to pull it out of the crypto lending and get it ready into the trading account in KuCoin to get ready if I want to make some swaps based on the CPI index today. So I'm not about dumping my position. I do have some stable coin positions because they make up a large portion of my crypto lending, my crypto staking that I'm making 20 to 60% on a year over on all my crypto lending platforms. So number one, I only hold projects I believe in. Number two, I know where your cash and stable coins are so that you can move quickly. Number three, watch for exits. I said exits. Now, I'm not talking about FUD exits. Oh my God, it's tanking. I'm losing everything. Let me exit. No, I'm looking right now. I mentioned earlier, Sandbox. I'm up 500% on Sandbox. It might be a good time to exit. I might exit half of my position, take some profits, and then when it tanks, buy back in. I might. Now remember though, I'm more of an investor, not a trader. But remember that the Yahoo moment that I was describing earlier. For those who were too diamond hands for too long, we're painting this world in crypto that's like paper hands or diamond hands. What are you? Pick a house. What's the sorting hat going to tell you? Are you diamond hands or paper hands? Dude, take a hike with this. Do not get sucked in. Are you Republican or Democrat? Take a hike. You're intelligent. You're a citizen of the world. You're not going to be the left or the right. You're not going to be diamond hands or paper hands. You're going to be a Spark citizen. You're going to be thinking clearly at all times. So yes, you need to ride this just like people rode Yahoo. You need to ride it. And you don't need to even pick the top. You need to pick a moment when it's time to scrape profits and rebase and watch for when it's time to re-enter. You need to know, are you holding on to a Netscape or are you holding on to a Yahoo? You need to know these things, right? So you can diamond hand too long, and that's part of my point this morning. If you're like, I'm Diamond Hand Club, and you wear it like a badge of pride, I'm a diamond hand holder. Great. Into the ground? Like, come on now. Like diamond hands until it's time to not. And remember, a lot paper hands are people that are in and out, and they're freaking out, and they're totally freaked out. But remember, I can be a diamond hand holder and sell today. Why? Because I've been holding Cardano. If I sold all of my Cardano today, I would still consider myself a diamond hands. And here's why. I've been holding Cardano since 2017. I think it was sub 20 cents. I've held on, son. It might be time to take some profits. So don't get sucked into these paradigms. A Spark citizen doesn't get sucked into these paradigms. We're not FUD traders. We're more like investors, but with a caveat, 80% of our portfolio is ready to go, and we know where our cash is ready to go, and we don't get sucked into whether or not we're diamond hands. Then this is what's going on with the other 20% of my high-risk portfolio. I would let my own rebases, but I'm not putting more money into my own rebases right now. Typically, are my ohms, Jade Protocol and Wonderland Time are what I'm in, and I have been doubling down, but I think I'm going to pause that. I'm just going to let the rebases run right now until I figure out what happens today with CPI and what happens on Tuesday with the Fed, with the federal funds. So then what is a Spark citizen left to do? What about all this excitement? I'm missing out on all the fun. Number one, walk away from your computer. You can follow your stats on your phone, but make it harder for you to trade. Don't get sucked into the trade paradigm. Walk away. The Spark citizen has the presence of mind to know, I know roughly what my entry points are. If my entry points trigger, I'm going to move. If they don't, I'm not going to get sucked into a red day mentality. It's a bad day. Why? It's a red day. Man, forget this. Number two, this sounds really weird. Think about your other streams of income that you have or are building. Walk away from the computer. Do something productive with your time. Do not get sucked into trading. That's not a Spark citizen. Now, traders are going to make some money today. You're going to get phone calls from your friends. Like, I'm a trader. I got in on the next cat girl. Good for you. That's cool. No way, man. I'm here to ride my pony to take profits. I cannot guess unless you have inside knowledge. I can't guess what's going to happen next. So know your positions, know your buy-ins, know if there are any exits you should take, know where your cash is at. Great, in case one of your awesome investments hits their trigger point, get ready to move money into there. And then remember, don't be greedy. How much of FUD is actually greed? How much fear, uncertainty, and doubt is because they're actually operating on a heart of greed and they aren't doing the homework? Real homework. What's the underlying tokenomics? What are the next milestones for the project? What's the team talking about on Twitter and in Discord? Are you involved with them? If you're not doing that, you're probably operating on either greed or FUD or a mixture of the two. A Spark Citizen doesn't get greedy. I'm up. Okay, I'm up, and I can show you my screen. 427.05% for the year. Let me look. How am I at for the year? That's for the last year. For the last 6 months, I'm up 106%, 106.92% for the last 6 months. Yes, in the last week, I am down 12%, 12.85. In the last month, I'm down 17%. In the last 3 months, I'm up 11%. I don't need to jump and trade and get sucked in, people. You need perspective. Don't get greedy. Remember what you're up for the last 6 months. Remember what you're up for the last year. And last but not least, this is the last thing, and let me leave you with this. Get sucked out of this freaking chaos, man. Spark Citizens have a better paradigm, man. And it probably comes a lot from, boom, the book Trevor asked me about, Hagakure, some samurai and some other stuff that we're reading. But what it all lands on is this, and I'll leave you with this. We talked about how Spark Citizens respond in their crypto life. We talked about how Spark Citizens respond in their other financial areas. How are your other multiple streams of income doing? Check on them. Are they producing profit this month? Check on them. Nurture them. How are your employees doing? Well, if you don't have any of that, okay, what are you doing today to move those projects forward so that you do have other MSIs, multiple streams of income? But in your spiritual life, know that this is all actually a game. Oh man, it doesn't feel like a game. No, if it doesn't feel like a game, you're probably investing money you can't stand to lose. And a Spark Citizen does not invest money unless they are emotionally, mentally, and financially ready to lose that money. Not just in crypto, in anything. Don't take any risk with anything that you are not mentally, emotionally prepared to lose or have a 100% certainty on return. And I don't have that in anything. So in our spiritual lives as Spark Citizens, we know that this is actually a game. And I don't mean we're playing with money because money's not valuable. Money's very valuable. I mean, life is much bigger than these things, and you're going to hit an age bracket where none of this matters. We have one business that we're looking at, and you know what? It's taking up more time. Yes, it's paying us good money, but it's taking up more time and giving us more stress. We're thinking about adjusting the whole thing. Why? Because it's not about that. This is all a game of, am I living an extraordinary life? Am I living an ignited life of explosive significance? These are all experiments. That's why we call our investments in the Discord experiments. We're experimenting with partnering to invest in Wonderland Time. We're experimenting with partnering on ring nodes and strong nodes and samurai nodes. We're experimenting with financial freedom. Why? Because it's a game and life is bigger than that. And the game is this, can we create the location freedom, time freedom, and mental freedom in order to experience the heart freedom and spiritual freedom of enjoying our freaking life? So number one, know that this is actually a game. Number two, be okay with who you are and where you're at. If you don't have any more cash to throw in a dip, that's okay. Wagmine, man. We're all going to make it. Breathe deep and watch and learn. Make this a learning moment for you. If you have no more cash, if you're still working a 9 to 5, you scrape together the penny, actually invest in that next pet project or that thing that Grant mentioned, or even buy that book. Listen, for the book, reach out to me. I'm down with sending books, and one of our nonprofits is about supporting people with their learning. But be okay with who you are and where you're at. You are on your own journey. I might be braggable in some of these things that I'm talking about, but I'm 42. I've lived 20 years of intentional living. The first book I read when Trevor King just asked me, what's the number one book I've read? Is Think and Grow Rich. This is the first book when I became an intelligent person over 20 years ago. And I started with intentional living then. If you're just starting out on your journey, don't compare my chapter 6 to your chapter 1. Be okay with where you're at. And if you're in this show, watching this at any time during the day, even on the replay, if you're involved in crypto, if you're involved in the Discord, if you're part of our patrons and you're actually investing in your future that way, you're already ahead. You're doing okay. Lastly, very last thing. Have the space of mind to step away and let the consumer price index do what it's going to do. And you go on about your day. Have your plan in place. If you get triggered, move. If you don't, go have a cup of coffee, which is what I'm going to do next. So here, let me end with this. If you like the show, like or subscribe, share with a friend. I really appreciate you joining. Please consider being a Patreon member and support our efforts with what we're doing with investing and educating you and basically giving you the tools and training to live an ignited life of explosive significance. Basically, right now, focused on crypto, absolutely, but we're going to start introducing real estate masterminds. We're going to start releasing other financial freedom and multiple streams of income masterminds in the Discord. So please get involved. We also are trying to get to loading our roadmap on what we are doing with crypto because I think there's a lot to offer and self-organizing as a group of individuals who want to ignite lives of explosive significance. But no matter what you do, whether you get involved or not, remember the mission. Remember the mission. Igniting lives of explosive significance, starting with your own. Have a kick-ass day.